Okay, everyone, I wanted to show you a very famous painting by artist Georges Seurat. This is called A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Jatte, and I'm using a website to show you this. It's mymodernmet.com. If you get a chance, you should check out their site because they have lots of information on famous artists all over the world. So Georges Seurat was an artist from France, and he took 2 years to create this painting. This painting actually hangs in Chicago at the Art Institute, and they acquired it in, I think it was about 1925, but it was painted, it was started in 1884, and he finished it, like I said, 2 years later. Georges Seurat was kind of known as the father of Pointillism. Pointillism is where you take small dots of color and combine them together or put them close to each other so that our eye combines them together. Georges Seurat was really interested in the science behind art. So he actually went out, and when he was planning this painting, and it's a very big painting, he did several different sketches. He went outside, sat in this park, and sketched out his plan before actually starting this. And then once he started again, 2 years to create it. I want to show you a little bit of the detail. See if I can zoom in here. You can kind of see the dots, the little swatches of color that he put next to each other to create this painting. It's fascinating. So today we're going to use pointillism, and we are going to create our own landscape. Now, you don't have to go outside and sketch anything out really, but it's always fun to do that. So if you want to take your sketchbook, head outside and sit down and do a landscape near you, that's great. Otherwise, I'm going to show you how to do a landscape, and you can draw one out from your mind. Supplies. Now, pointillism is very time-consuming, so you will actually need a smaller sheet of paper when you do this. So this paper that I have here is about 6 by 9. It's a smaller sheet of paper. It's a half a sheet. So fold your paper in half or cut your paper in half. Use a smaller. If you want to do bigger, that's okay, but it will take a while to do. I'm going to start with a pencil, and then I'm going to need markers. And I just have my little crazy art markers here, my watercolor-based markers that I'm going to use to do this project. When you draw out your landscape, you need to draw very, very lightly. Now, if you get your lines too dark, you can use your eraser to erase some of those lines, but it's much easier if you just draw very lightly to begin with. So, first thing that I'm going to do in my landscape, and I'm doing my landscape style, my paper is long ways here. I'm going to put in my horizon line. The horizon line is where the earth meets the sky. So my horizon line is going to be just about here, and it's going to go just across my page like that. It's going to be my guide. Now, the next thing I want to do is mine's going to be a wooded scene, okay? I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to put a little stream in. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to bring a line down here. My stream is looking pretty straight, isn't it? And this is my vanishing point that I have put here. So my vanishing point, I'm going to kind of make this a little bit more organic coming down here. A little bit curvier line. Okay, now I'm going to start to add some trees. Now my trees are going to go here, and I'm going to do pine trees. You can add any kind of tree that you want, And I just have to lightly put them in. And I'm kind of doing these kind of curvy organic lines here. So I want one there, a little bit shorter one. And maybe one back here on the horizon line. Kind of looks like it's off in the distance. And several over here. Now these are further back. I'm creating the illusion of distance here by putting some trees that are smaller closer to the horizon line. Now, my tree. I want kind of a regular looking tree here. So I start with a line like that. And then I'm going to come here. I always think of trees as the letter Y. This just reminds me of the letter Y. And then from here, I'm going to come up, and I can go right off my page. And I'm going to start adding branches in. Remember that your branches always get smaller toward the end of your tree branch. So they're wider at the base, and they get smaller as they go toward the top. So I'm going to add another one here. And again, you're just sketching this out. Most of your work is going to be done with your marker. And I think that'll do it for now. So I've got a tree there, and I want one more down here. And this one's coming down here, and it can go right over the tops of my pine trees. I kind of want my branch to go out here. I want a bird on my branch. So I'm just kind of putting in some lines. Doesn't have to be exact because you're going to be going over the top of this with your marker. I can even put in an animal here. I can put in a deer. Now when I do that, I can just do some shapes. I'm not sure if that looks like a deer or not. I need the antlers, don't I? There we go. I think his head needs to be a little bit longer like that. I'm going to put the moon or the sun up here like that as well. So I've kind of got a rough draft. Now this is actually what Georges Seurat did when he went out to the park. He looked at the park in different at different times of the day, and he did lots and lots of sketches to plan out where he was going to put everything in his composition. Remember, it took him 2 years to create that composition, so since he was going to be working on it for so long, he needed everything to be in the right place. So we're going to get started with our next step now. I have my markers here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and start with my green. My pine trees are going to be green, and I'm going to be using just the tip of my marker, and I'm going to just dot in, I don't know if you can see this, little dots, kind of, and I'm using the side so you can kind of see how it's going here. If you hold your marker directly up and just use the tip of the marker, you're going to get some nice dots. But I'm going to hold mine to the side so that you can see how I'm doing it a little better. Now, the closer that you put the dots together, the darker the color green will look. So as I do this, if I spaced my dots out all the same distance apart, my green would look very, very flat. But if I start to put a lot more dots in one area, I'm going to get a little bit more of a shaded, or get a little bit more value. Okay, my eye is going to connect those dots. So you can see how it looks darker here and a little bit lighter here. And that's how Seurat created some of his value. Only he not only did it with the placement of his dots, but he also did it with the color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to fill in my trees, And my sky is going to be a little bit different. I don't want a lot of shading in my sky, I don't think. But I'm going to start to fill this in. As I work, I will start to add more color. Now, I started this one a little bit earlier, and you can see that it's starting to kind of take form. I'm working on the sky now, and I kind of thought that I would have this area down here actually be snow. I didn't get my stream in yet, or my sun, so I'm still working on this, and when I'm finished, I'll come back and show you. But right now, I'd like you to get started sketching out your landscape, and then start to fill it in with dots. Start to practice the style of art called Pointillism. Okay, I got a little bit further on this now, and I'm starting to add multiple colors. If you look at my pine tree here, I used a light green marker for the base of my pines, and then I started to add that value with a darker green. And sometimes I go right over the top of that lighter green. So you can start to blend your colors. Now for my sky, I am going to use a lighter blue, and I've got my base blue done. My dots are pretty equal, but I could add some lighter blue dots near the top. And as I work down toward the bottom here, I might just add some purple, okay, some darker dots. So I've got some here, and not a lot, but I want my eye to think that it is a little bit darker near the horizon. So my purple will actually be closer together in dots here, and then I'll kind of space it out as I go up, just fewer dots as I go closer to the top of my page. So I'm starting to blend this color. Now, as I do this, I know why it took Seurat 2 years to create his picture. The nice thing is, this is something that you can take your time with and enjoy the process. I will continue working on this. I'm going to add a little bit of black to my trees here and kind of make them look a little bit more dimensional by adding that shaded area. It's so tempting to want to take and draw lines. Even as I do this, I'm so tempted to just try to outline my animals or my trees, but Seurat didn't do that. In true pointillism, you're just using dots. So I hope you enjoy this project, and I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks.